The spaceport of Varelia Station hummed with life. Ships of every size and color floated between docking bays, their engines breathing faint trails of ionized air. Aliens of countless shapes moved among humans, some towering like walking skyscrapers, others small and delicate, their limbs moving faster than the eye could follow. The smells, sounds, and flashes of light created a sense of organized chaos. It was a place where trade, diplomacy, and danger met in equal measure. Captain Elias Ward strode through the crowd, his boots clicking against the metallic floor. He was human, tall, with dark hair and a calm gaze that seemed to notice everything. Though he carried no weapon openly, he exuded a quiet confidence that made people give him space. Elias had traveled through dozens of systems, negotiating, observing, and solving problems, always keeping his emotions controlled. Today, he was on a diplomatic mission. The Royal House of Liara had sent a request for a human envoy. Humans were not always trusted in alien courts. Their reputation for stubbornness and unexpected ingenuity preceded them. Elias had been chosen because he could handle delicate situations without losing his temper. Elias's attention shifted to a platform above the crowd. A figure stood there, small by alien standards but radiant in presence. Her skin shimmered a soft violet. Her hair was silver white and her eyes, sharp and golden, scanned the crowd with curiosity and arrogance. It was her, the 19-year-old Princess Liara, youngest of the Varelian royal family. She was famous for being bold, outspoken, and occasionally reckless. As Elias approached, several aides and guards quickly surrounded the princess. Their movements were precise, protective, almost ceremonial. Liara's gaze fixed on him. She raised a delicate hand and waved, though her expression hinted at curiosity mixed with a hint of challenge. "You are human," she said in a voice both melodic and commanding. "I have heard much about your species. Most humans are. Predictable, I suppose." Her words were laced with amusement, but there was also an edge, a sharpness meant to provoke. Elias stopped a few meters away, bowing his head slightly in a gesture of respect. "I am Captain Elias Ward. I am here to help, not to cause offense." His tone was calm, measured, without fear or excitement. Liara's golden eyes flicked over him, assessing, questioning, and judging. "Help? Humans rarely understand our politics. Most fail before they even speak. Are you certain you can assist?" Her words were deliberately cutting, meant to test him. Elias considered his response carefully. In many alien courts, a direct answer could offend. A deflection could be seen as weakness. He chose calm truth. "I will do my best. That is all I can promise." The princess's expression hardened. She leaned slightly forward, her voice rising. "Your species values arrogance more than wisdom. Tell me, human, do you think you are worthy to speak before a royal?" The question hung in the air. The nearby crowd of diplomats and traders whispered. Some smirked. Some tensed. Elias's calm demeanor remained unchanged. He could feel the tension, but he did not rise to her bait. Instead of replying, he simply turned and walked away. The murmurs grew louder. Aliens could not understand this human behavior. A confrontation, an argument, a display of ego, they expected all of it. But Elias walked away, silent and deliberate, as if nothing had happened. Liara's lips parted slightly in shock. He just walked away?" she muttered. Her voice was both incredulous and annoyed. She had expected a human to argue, to defend, to act proud. Instead, he had shown restraint. One of her aides whispered almost nervously, "Princess, he may be testing us. Humans are clever in ways we do not always see." Liara waved him off with a flick of her hand. "Clever? He is a human. They are all the same, presumptuous, fragile, limited." She stepped down from her platform, moving closer to the crowd, her eyes still following Elias. Elias did not look back. He moved past groups of Varelians, traders, and soldiers, his pace calm but purposeful. His mind was observing everything: the layout of the station, the security positions, the behavior of diplomats, and the princess herself. He noted subtle tensions among the royal aides, small disagreements he could exploit later if needed. A small Varelian child, purple-skinned and wide-eyed, tugged at Elias's sleeve. "Human, you are different." The child's voice was innocent, full of curiosity. Elias smiled slightly and bent down. Different doesn't mean bad, he said simply. Sometimes it means you see things others miss. The child's eyes widened. I like humans, they said, giggling before running back to their parent. Elias straightened and continued walking. Meanwhile, Liara fumed. She could not believe this human had ignored her authority. In her world, a royal's word was law, and insults demanded response. She had expected him to argue, to leave a mark, to bend under pressure. But he had done nothing. No prideful words, no anger, no submission. Her curiosity was now stronger than her annoyance. Who was this human? Why did he not react? And most importantly, what was he capable of? Back at the docking area, Elias paused by a small cafe. He observed the arriving ships and the traders unloading exotic goods. Nothing seemed urgent, yet he noticed subtle signs of smuggling, hidden compartments, and nervous behavior. His instincts told him that the princess's court, while grand, was not free of corruption and threats. A young Varelian trader approached him cautiously. Captain, if you have a moment, some information might interest you. It concerns Princess Liara. Elias raised an eyebrow. Go on. The trader leaned closer, speaking in a hushed tone. There are factions within the Royal Council. Some want to use her youth and arrogance to manipulate her. Others are more dangerous. Humans are not supposed to interfere, but someone like you might help balance things. Elias nodded slowly. He was not here to take sides, yet he understood that balance and observation were essential in diplomacy. Walking away earlier was not weakness. It was a way to show that human patience and perception were not to be underestimated. At that moment, Liara approached him. She had moved through the crowd with surprising speed, her golden eyes fixed on him with intensity. Human, she said sharply, you walk as if the universe owes you nothing. Do you even understand the concept of respect? Elias glanced at her without hesitation. Respect is earned, he said calmly, not demanded. The word struck Liara like a small shock. She had expected argument, outrage, or flattery, but not this quiet firmness. For a moment, her pride bristled. For another, curiosity flickered. How could this human, with no title, no army, no royal claim, stand before her with such calm certainty? She opened her mouth to respond, but the crowd around them shifted. Diplomats and traders murmured in astonishment. Aliens whispered, he walks away. He speaks without fear. This human is strange. Elias, sensing the moment was delicate, nodded slightly and moved toward the exit. He had made his point without confrontation. Walking away was his choice, not submission. It was a signal that humans acted on their own terms, not because others demanded. Liara watched him leave, her mind racing. She had met royals, generals, and scholars from dozens of worlds, but never someone like him. Not someone who dared to walk away without fear, without insult, without anger. Her advisors whispered to her, concerned about her reaction. Princess, this human may challenge your authority. Do not underestimate him. Liara waved them off, her mind not on authority but on curiosity. We shall see, she said softly. Humans are more complicated than I imagined. As Elias disappeared into the station corridors, the spaceport continued its busy rhythm, unaware of the subtle shift that had occurred. A young alien royal had been offended, but the human had chosen his own path, quiet, deliberate, and firm. And somewhere in the galaxy, a lesson was quietly being learned. Underestimating humans was a mistake. The corridors of Varelia Station were quieter than the busy docking bays, but the whispers of the crowd still seemed to follow Elias Ward. Every step he took echoed with purpose, yet calmness clung to him like a shield. He had walked away from Princess Liara earlier, not from fear or indecision, but because he knew that a display of temper would accomplish nothing. In the alien court, actions often spoke louder than words, and he intended to let his actions do the talking. Liara, meanwhile, stormed back to her royal chamber, her mind a whirlwind. She could not believe that a human had walked away from her insult without fear or reply. Her royal advisors hovered nearby, carefully avoiding her glare. Princess, one of them began, voice trembling slightly. He may be unusual, but walking away is not a sign of weakness. Humans often have their own ways of asserting power. Liara waved her hand sharply. Power that human shows no respect, no fear, nothing. How dare he? Her eyes glowed faintly with frustration. If I allow this, my authority will appear weak. Another advisor, braver, spoke cautiously. Or, Your Highness, it may show that humans are cleverer than we thought. He chose not to argue. Perhaps he sees more than we do, Liara snapped, her golden eyes flashing. Clever or not, I do not tolerate insolence. I will make him understand that royalty is not to be ignored. Back in the public corridors, Elias walked among traitors and diplomats unnoticed by most. Yet his sharp eyes observed everything, the subtle shifts of loyalty among the royal aides, the small factions whispering about influence and ambition, and the nervous traders who feared their shipments might be inspected. Elias had been trained to notice patterns, to understand power without being part of it. A small group of human merchants approached him, their faces anxious. "Captain Ward," one said, voice low. "Some Virelian inspectors are trying to claim our goods are smuggled. We have the proper licenses, but they insist on confiscating them. They say it is Princess Liara's order." Elias raised an eyebrow. "Is this about her anger toward humans?" The merchant nodded. "We think so. She insulted one of her officials, and they are taking it out on us. We do not know what to do." Elias frowned. Walking away had made his point, but he could not ignore injustice. The human traders deserved fairness, and humans never left the weak or honest unprotected. "Lead me to them," he said simply. The group guided him to a large inspection hall. Two Virelian officers, tall and imposing, hovered near the trading crates, scanning documents with mechanical precision. When Elias approached, they looked at him suspiciously. "Captain Ward," one said, bowing slightly. "This is none of your concern. These goods are under royal review." Elias smiled slightly, calm and disarming. "I am concerned whenever justice is overlooked." "Let me see your documents." The officers hesitated, exchanging nervous glances. They were used to humans reacting with fear or anger, but not calm logic. Elias reviewed the papers carefully, pointing out errors and missing signatures that proved the trader's innocence. "Everything is in order," he said firmly. "Release their goods immediately. Any further interference will reflect poorly on those who issue it." The officers reluctantly complied, returning the goods. Nearby spectators whispered, "Humans. They act differently. They do not shout, yet their words carry weight." Meanwhile, Liara had not been idle. Though she had been frustrated, curiosity gnawed at her. Who was this human who had refused to fight, yet somehow commanded respect by simply existing? She decided to watch him more closely, moving through hidden corridors to observe without being seen. From a shadowed alcove, she saw Elias speaking with traders, resolving disputes without aggression, guiding them with calm authority. She frowned, unwilling to admit it, but a small spark of admiration grew in her mind. Later, in the palace council chamber, the royal advisors whispered among themselves. "Princess," one said cautiously, "this human may be dangerous, not in the way of a soldier, but in influence. He shows humans can act differently, perhaps even better than some of our own officials." Liara's golden eyes narrowed. "Influence?" she repeated. "I do not care for influence. I care for respect. And that human has none for me." Yet deep inside, she wondered why she felt an unfamiliar pull of curiosity. She could not understand it fully. Elias had not flattered her, bowed too deeply, or sought approval. Instead, he acted on principle, quietly and decisively. That evening, Elias walked the station gardens, a serene space filled with bioluminescent plants and artificial streams. The air was calm and stars peeked through the transparent dome above. It was here that he reflected on the events of the day. Humans often adapted to situations by observing first, acting second. In alien cultures, the reverse was often true. Reaction before thought, emotion over reason. He noted the fractures in Liara's court, the factions quietly maneuvering, and the princess herself. Though young, she was intelligent, capable of thinking fast and acting decisively, but her pride could also be her weakness. As he considered all this, a soft voice called from behind a fountain. "Human," Elias turned. Princess Liara had followed him, stepping lightly over the garden pathways. Her expression was unreadable, curiosity mixed with lingering irritation. "You follow me," he said calmly. Liara's eyes flashed. "I want to understand why you walked away." Most humans would have reacted, shouted, argued, perhaps attacked. Elias looked at her steadily. And what would that have accomplished? She hesitated, caught off guard. "To show respect for my position." Elias shook his head slightly. "Respect is earned, not given because someone claims it. I walked away because your words were not worth a fight. and because my actions later could prove more than arguments ever could. Liara stared at him, her mind racing. He was not afraid, yet he did not seek power. He acted with principle. For the first time she wondered if she had misjudged humans entirely. The silence stretched between them, filled with unspoken thoughts. Liara's pride bristled, but her curiosity burned brighter. "Perhaps you are different," she admitted quietly, though her tone still carried a challenge. Elias inclined his head slightly. "Perhaps. Humans are not all the same. Neither are aliens." Liara's golden eyes narrowed in thought. "I will observe you, human. Do not think your calm words are enough. Actions will speak louder than anything you say." Elias smiled faintly. "Actions always speak. Words only guide them." The princess turned to leave, but she did not walk away angrily. Instead, she moved with a thoughtful grace, her mind already calculating, analyzing, and learning. She realized that this human might teach her more than anyone else could, though she would never admit it openly. That night, as Virelia Station's lights dimmed and most travelers retired to their quarters, whispers about Captain Elias Ward spread quietly. Humans were not supposed to act this way, neither meek nor loud, neither easily impressed nor easily scared. He was an enigma, walking calmly among alien powers, silent yet influential, and in the royal chambers, Liara stared at the stars beyond the transparent dome, thinking of him. Though she had been offended, though her pride had been stung, she could not deny a simple truth. The human had already begun to change how she viewed her world, and perhaps her people as well. The first ripple of respect, however grudgingly earned, had begun. And though neither of them realized it yet, this simple encounter would set the stage for challenges, lessons, and alliances that neither human nor alien could have foreseen. The spaceport of Virelia Station had returned to its usual rhythm the next morning. Traders unloaded cargo, diplomats argued quietly over schedules, and humans and aliens moved past each other, exchanging polite nods and brief greetings. Yet the memory of Captain Elias Ward lingered in the minds of many, especially the young Princess Liara. She had spent the night thinking about the human who had walked away without fear or argument. His calm demeanor, his quiet strength, and his intelligence intrigued her. Normally, Liara would have dismissed humans as beneath her notice. Yet this one was different, and now a new challenge was about to force them together. The first sign came in the form of an alarm. A sudden sharp klaxon echoed through the docking bays. Colored lights flashed red and yellow, and the automated announcements repeated in multiple languages. "Security breach. All personnel take immediate caution." Elias was already observing the area, his senses alert. He could see small ships attempting to dock illegally and several individuals moving too quickly and too secretly. His instincts told him this was no ordinary smuggling operation. Something larger, more dangerous was unfolding. From her observation balcony, Liara's eyes widened. Several shadowy ships had entered the station without authorization, their engines hidden under cloaking fields. Their intent was unclear, but the rapid movement of armed figures suggested they were not here for trade. Liara snapped orders to her guards, her voice sharp and commanding. "Seal the docking bays. Lock all civilian areas. Nobody enters or exits without my permission." Despite her urgency, chaos began spreading. Traders panicked and station personnel ran for cover. Elias stepped forward, calmly moving through the chaos. He had a plan. He needed to protect as many lives as possible while understanding the attackers' objectives. "Princess Liara," he called into his communicator. "You need to evacuate civilians to secure zones." "I will handle the intruders." Liara froze. She was not used to anyone taking command over her commands, yet she saw the sense in his words. Her pride bristled, but she nodded. "Do it, human. I will follow your lead. For now." Elias moved with precision. He guided station personnel, rerouted citizens, and intercepted intruders using non-lethal tactics. The attackers were skilled, but Elias's calm strategy and quick thinking gave humans and aliens a chance to regroup. From the observation platform, Liara watched, her emotions conflicted. She had been trained to command fleets, to give orders, and to wield influence. Yet here was a human, without title or army, saving her people and her station through intellect and action. She could not ignore it. One of her royal guards approached her, whispering urgently, "Princess, the intruders are targeting the central docking bay. We cannot hold them alone. Liara's golden eyes narrowed. Then we join him. She leapt down, her movement graceful but swift, and moved toward the chaos. Her presence inspired some of the station guards to rally, their fear replaced with determination. Meanwhile, Elias encountered the central group of intruders. They were heavily armed, but their confidence faltered when he calmly assessed their weaknesses. He guided station defense drones to strategic positions, blocked corridors to control movement, and even negotiated briefly with some lower-ranking attackers, convincing them to stand down. The clash was not violent in the usual sense. It was a game of strategy, intelligence, and clever improvisation. Humans were often underestimated because they did not rely solely on brute force, and Elias's methods were proving that point decisively. Liara arrived just as he confronted the largest group. "Human, I thought you wanted to handle this alone," she called, her voice sharp but tinged with respect. "I prefer to work with allies when possible," Elias replied, his calm voice never rising. "Especially when they can think clearly and act fast." Liara's lips pressed together and a hint of a smile flickered across her face. She understood the subtle compliment. He acknowledged her capability without bowing to her authority. Together, they coordinated station defense, moving through corridors with precision. Liara provided access to secure doors and security codes, while Elias directed personnel and neutralized threats with non-lethal tools. The battle continued, tense and controlled. Citizens watched from safe zones, whispers spreading about the human and the young royal working side by side. Some of the alien observers exchanged shocked looks. "The human is equal to a royal in strategy and calm," one whispered. Finally, the intruders' plan began to collapse. Elias had anticipated their escape route, and Liara's quick thinking blocked their retreat. With no options left, the attackers surrendered or fled. Elias wiped sweat from his brow, though his composure remained intact. Liara approached, her eyes studying him. "You handled this." Impressively, she admitted, though her pride still showed. Elias inclined his head slightly. "It was not about me. It was about protecting the station and its people. That should be the priority for anyone in a position of authority." Liara's mind raced. Authority, she realized, was not about power or fear. It was about responsibility, intelligence, and ethics. And humans, at least this human, understood that in a way that surprised her. After the chaos ended, station officials began assessing damage and repairing systems. Citizens were safe and most goods and ships had been secured. The young princess, though exhausted, remained curious about Elias. "Why did you not react like others would?" she asked, breaking the silence. "Why did you not fight with anger or boast about your strength?" Elias considered her question carefully. "Anger clouds judgment. Boasting achieves little. Humans often succeed because we think ahead, act logically, and remain calm under pressure. Strength is measured not by force but by results." Liara's golden eyes glimmered with interest. She had been raised to believe that royal presence and authority commanded respect immediately. Yet here was a human who earned respect through intelligence and action, not status or fear. "I underestimated your species," she admitted quietly, almost to herself. "Not all humans are the same, and perhaps we have much to learn." Elias's gaze softened. "It is not about underestimating or overestimating. It is about understanding. Every species has strengths and weaknesses. The trick is to recognize them and act accordingly." Liara nodded slowly. Though she was still proud, a new sense of respect for this human began to grow. She realized that this young man could teach her more than any tutor or advisor ever could. As they walked through the repaired station together, some of Liara's advisors muttered in disbelief. "Princess, why do you follow him?" "He is a human." Liara smiled faintly, her pride intact. "Humans are unpredictable. Sometimes unpredictability can be a strength, and sometimes it can show you what true courage looks like." Elias walked beside her, quiet and observant. He had not sought recognition, and yet his actions had earned it. Liara's respect was not something he demanded. It was a consequence of his decisions, his calm reasoning, and his moral clarity. By the time they reached the central plaza, news of their cooperation had spread. Citizens and officials whispered, "The human and the princess. They work together. They are equals in cleverness and courage." Liara turned to him, her golden eyes meeting his calm brown ones. "Perhaps I judged you too quickly," she said softly. a hint of humility in her tone. Elias inclined his head, acknowledging her words. Perhaps we both learn from each other. Respect is not given, it is shown and earned. The sun of Virelia Station began to set, casting a soft golden light through the transparent dome above. The calm after the storm brought reflection. Liara realized that humans, at least this human, were not just survivors. They were problem solvers, thinkers, and unexpected allies. Elias, walking beside her, felt a quiet satisfaction. The chaos had tested both of them, yet it had also shown the strength of patience, intelligence, and cooperation. He had proven a point. Humans were not to be underestimated, even in a world of advanced aliens, royal authority, and centuries of tradition. That night, the station buzzed quietly with rumors. Some whispered about the bravery of the young princess. Others marveled at the skill and calm of the human who had walked away earlier, only to return when action truly mattered. Liara, in her chamber, stared at the stars beyond the dome. She thought of Elias, the calm human who had refused to fight her pride, yet had saved her station and her people. For the first time, she wondered if perhaps humans were not only clever, but also worthy partners in this galaxy of challenges. And somewhere deep inside, a small but undeniable curiosity began to grow. The human had walked away once, but now, through action, he had begun to earn her attention, her respect, and perhaps, in time, her trust. The first steps of a cautious alliance had begun, and both of them, human and alien royal, would soon discover that working together could achieve more than either could alone. The chaos of Virelia Station had settled, but the tension between human and alien remained, though it was now laced with curiosity instead of anger. Princess Liara could not stop thinking about Captain Elias Ward. He had walked away from her insult, remained calm during a crisis, and acted decisively when lives were at stake. She had never met anyone like him. The young royal paced in her private chamber, golden eyes fixed on the distant stars. Her advisors hovered, waiting for her instructions. She was proud, intelligent, and stubborn, yet a quiet doubt had begun to form in her mind. Could a human truly be as capable and honorable as he seemed? Her curiosity soon became determination. She would test him, not through confrontation, but through challenges, political, social, and ethical, to see if he could match the cunning and patience required in her world. Meanwhile, Elias walked calmly through the station corridors. He was aware of her gaze upon him, though he did not seek it. He had no illusions about impressing a royal. His goal had always been observation, understanding, and measured action, yet he could sense the subtle tension, an invitation, unspoken yet clear. Liara sent an official messenger to him, requesting his presence in the council chamber. The note was polite, but the tone carried authority. Elias arrived promptly, bowing slightly in respect as was customary. Captain Ward, Liara began, her voice calm but firm. You have proven yourself in action. But survival and crisis management are only part of leadership. The Council and I wish to see if your judgment holds under more subtle pressures. Elias inclined his head. I will do my best. I understand that diplomacy and reasoning are often tested in ways different from physical danger. Liara studied him carefully. Good. Then let us begin. The first test was simple yet revealing. Several trade agreements had become stalled due to disputes among alien factions. Liara handed Elias a series of documents, each representing conflicting claims over resources, permissions, and alliances. Resolve these conflicts without favoring any party unfairly, she instructed. Remember, the eyes of the council are upon you. Elias examined the documents carefully. He noted patterns in the claims, recognized where misunderstandings had escalated, and identified hidden motives. Rather than imposing a solution, he mediated. He proposed compromises that satisfied each faction while maintaining fairness and clarity. Liara observed silently, impressed. She had expected him to either take sides or falter under pressure. Yet he remained calm, fair, and decisive, qualities that earned respect in her court. The next test involved etiquette and social influence. Liara arranged a formal gathering, inviting high-ranking officials, foreign diplomats, and alien nobles. She watched as Elias entered the chamber. His presence was modest, but his confidence showed. He did not bow excessively or boast. Instead, he greeted each guest politely, listened carefully, and responded with insight when appropriate. Some aliens tried subtle insults, testing whether he would react defensively. Elias remained composed. When a diplomat criticized humans as short-sighted and rash, he replied calmly, explaining human reasoning and offering examples of foresight in diplomacy. His explanations were concise and logical, leaving the critics with no opportunity for attack. Liara's eyes glimmered with surprise. He had managed a room full of powerful beings with nothing more than calm intellect and quiet confidence. She had assumed humans were too blunt, too emotional to navigate such subtle dynamics. She was wrong. The final test was the most personal. Liara presented a scenario where one of her advisors had made a significant error in judgment, potentially harming both the royal family and the station. Most would have demanded immediate punishment using authority and fear to restore order. "Captain Ward," she asked, "how would you handle this mistake?" Elias considered the question carefully. Punishment without understanding rarely solves a problem. "I would first assess the intent and circumstances, then correct the error while ensuring accountability and learning. The goal is not to instill fear but to maintain order and trust." Liara studied him intently. His answer was not only wise but ethical, a combination of intelligence and moral clarity that few had ever displayed before her. She felt a small pang of humility. She had judged him too quickly, based on his species and youth. The day ended with a quiet reflection. Liara summoned Elias to a private balcony overlooking the station. The stars sparkled above, distant yet beautiful, reminding them of the vastness of space and the smallness of pride. "You have exceeded my expectations. Human," Liara admitted softly, her pride mingling with genuine respect. "I thought you might be stubborn, foolish, or incapable. But you are none of these things. You are remarkable." Elias inclined his head. "I am not remarkable, Princess. I act according to reason and principle. That is all any human or alien can do." Liara smiled faintly. "Perhaps you are right. Yet sometimes acting according to principle in a world that values status and power above all else is what makes one remarkable." They stood in silence for a moment, letting the stars and the soft hum of the station fill the space. Liara realized that her initial offense, her pride, and her judgment had been challenged, not by anger or confrontation, but by patience, intelligence, and moral clarity. "You walked away once," she said quietly, almost to herself. "I thought it was defiance. But now I see. It was wisdom. You teach without words, human, and I respect that." Elias looked at her calmly. "Respect is not demanded. It is earned through actions and integrity. You have earned my respect as well, Princess." Liara's expression softened. Her golden eyes reflected both thoughtfulness and amusement. She had expected humans to be simple, reactive, and predictable. Instead, she had found one who could match wits, patience, and judgment with even the most cunning of her court. As the evening deepened, Liara made a subtle decision. She would no longer view Elias as an outsider or a potential annoyance. Instead, she would observe him, learn from him, and, if necessary, trust him in matters where others might fail. Elias, for his part, did not boast or seek reward. He had acted according to his principles, navigated challenges with calm intelligence, and earned respect not through power, but through action. The recognition from a young, proud royal was a consequence, not a goal. By the time the stars shifted and the station lights dimmed, both human and alien had learned something crucial. Strength came in many forms. Liara had assumed that power alone defined respect. Elias had shown that wisdom, patience, and moral clarity could achieve what authority could not. The quiet balcony became a place of reflection. Liara realized that humans, at least this human, were not only capable allies but also teachers in subtle ways. She had judged too quickly and learned to reconsider. She had assumed offense could not be met with calm, yet Elias had shown her that true strength often speaks softly. The stars continued to twinkle, distant yet constant, much like the lesson Liara had learned. In a galaxy filled with power struggles, status, and politics, she now understood that sometimes walking away, observing, and acting with principle was more powerful than confrontation. And somewhere deep inside, a quiet trust began to form. Liara did not yet admit it aloud, but she felt it. Elias Ward had earned her respect, and in doing so, had begun to shift the way she viewed the world and herself. The first steps toward a genuine alliance had begun. What had started as offense and stubborn pride had transformed into mutual understanding and cautious respect. Both human and alien realized that the galaxy was unpredictable, and survival, influence, and wisdom often required learning from those who saw the world differently. For the first time, Liara looked at the human not as a simple emissary or outsider, but as a potential partner in navigating the complexities of life, politics, and morality. And Elias, in his quiet observation, recognized a mind willing to learn, adapt, and act ethically, a rarity in any species. The day ended not with victory or defeat, but with reflection, respect, and the promise of challenges yet to come. And both of them, human and alien, knew that the true test of character was still ahead. Varelia Station had returned to a calm routine, yet beneath the surface tensions remained. The previous crises and challenges had not only tested the young Princess Liara and Captain Elias Ward, but had also revealed how differently humans and aliens approached life, problem-solving, and leadership. Liara walked the station corridors, her golden eyes scanning the activity. Though she was young, only 19, she had begun to understand that true leadership was about intelligence, patience, and ethics, not just authority or tradition. And Elias had shown her that repeatedly. Elias, meanwhile, moved quietly among the citizens and traders. He observed, listened, and subtly guided, always calm, always alert. His presence alone brought a sense of security, though he never demanded recognition. Humans rarely acted for glory. They acted because it was right. Liara finally approached him as he examined a shipment of newly arrived trade goods. "Human," she called softly, her tone more measured than before. "Walk with me." Elias straightened and followed, curious but patient. He had learned that the princess now valued observation as much as action. They moved together along the elevated walkways, overlooking the busy docking bays. Ships glided in and out, lights flashing across their sleek hulls, while aliens and humans worked side by side. The station had never been more vibrant, yet a subtle challenge awaited them both. Yesterday, you handled the council, the diplomats, and the intruders with a calm I have rarely seen, Liara said, her voice quiet but firm. It impressed me, human. But today I wish to see if your judgment holds when diplomacy is personal. Elias nodded, ready for whatever she planned. He had learned to expect challenges, subtle and direct alike, from her. Liara led him to a meeting room where her advisors and several alien dignitaries had gathered. There are disputes among the nobles, she explained. Some feel insulted that a human could influence my decisions. Others are angry that you, without rank, earned respect through action alone. I want you to mediate. Elias glanced around, noting subtle alliances, tension in body language, and the unspoken rivalries between the nobles. He spoke calmly. I am not here to take sides. I am here to find solutions that are fair, practical, and based on facts rather than pride or assumption. The room was tense. A tall alien noble with silver-tinted skin sneered. A human speaks as if we are children. Do you know nothing of our customs? Elias met his gaze steadily. I understand enough to act respectfully while seeking a resolution. Disagreement does not require offense. One by one, he addressed the complaints, proposed compromises, and emphasized principles of fairness and accountability. Slowly, the tension in the room eased. Arguments that might have escalated into insult or anger were defused by calm logic and careful reasoning. Liara watched him silently. She had never thought humans could navigate such subtle social challenges without arrogance or mistake. Yet Elias handled each situation with clarity, fairness, and patience. She realized that his calm confidence did not diminish him. It elevated him. Later, as the meeting ended, Liara approached him privately. You have done more than impress me, human, she said. You have earned the trust of my advisors, the respect of the council, and my personal respect. Elias inclined his head slightly. Thank you, princess. Respect is not given. It is earned through integrity, action, and fairness. You have earned mine as well. Liara's golden eyes softened. She had assumed pride would make her wary of him. Instead, his actions had built a quiet understanding between them, one founded on principles rather than titles or tradition. Their partnership was soon tested again. Reports came in of a small alien fleet approaching Varelia Station. The fleet was rumored to be aggressive, seeking to exploit perceived weakness after the recent station disruptions. Panic began to ripple through the docking bays and civilian areas. Liara turned to Elias. "The fleet is approaching. They may believe the station is vulnerable. How should we respond?" Elias observed carefully. "We cannot rely on threat alone. We must communicate, show readiness, and prepare defensive measures without escalating hostility. Demonstration of competence often deters aggression more than weapons alone." Working together, Liara and Elias coordinated a response. Station defenses were upgraded, communication arrays activated, and a strategic signal was sent to the incoming fleet, showing both preparedness and willingness to negotiate. When the alien fleet arrived, they expected weakness but instead encountered a calm, organized, and well-prepared station. Elias and Liara had anticipated every likely move, and the fleet quickly realized that aggression would be costly. After tense hours of negotiation, the fleet withdrew, acknowledging the station's strength. Inside the station, citizens cheered quietly. Traders, workers, and diplomats whispered about the human and the young princess who had protected them, without unnecessary violence. Liara turned to Elias, a faint smile on her face. "You have done something rare, human. You have not only preserved the station, but you have earned the loyalty and respect of those around you without force." Elias shook his head slightly. "I only acted as any human should, logically, ethically, and with patience. It is the responsibility of those capable to protect and guide when possible." Liara nodded, though inside she was quietly amazed. She had grown from seeing him as merely a bold human into someone worthy of admiration, trust, and alliance. The evening brought a quiet moment for reflection. Liara and Elias walked to the balcony overlooking the station, the stars above sparkling like diamonds. The chaos, disputes, and challenges of the past days now seemed smaller in comparison to the lessons learned. "You taught me something important," Liara said softly, her golden eyes reflecting the distant stars. "Authority is not about anger, pride, or position. It is about understanding, patience, and action. You showed me that, human." Elias looked at her calmly. "And you have shown me that leadership requires observation, courage, and the willingness to learn from others, regardless of species or rank." Liara smiled faintly. She realized that in the vast galaxy, humans were often underestimated. Yet here was one human who walked away from offense, acted decisively when it mattered, and inspired respect through intelligence and moral clarity. "Perhaps," Liara said quietly, "humans are not as simple as I once thought. Perhaps they are capable of much more than I imagined." Elias inclined his head, acknowledging her words without pride. "Humans have strengths and weaknesses, as does every species. The key is to act with principle, fairness, and courage. That is what matters." For the first time, Liara felt a quiet trust forming, not blind loyalty, but respect earned through action and wisdom. She had assumed offense, pride, and rank would always define interactions. Yet Elias had shown her another path: calm observation, ethical action, and intelligent decision-making. The galaxy outside the station remained vast and unpredictable. Yet Liara now knew that with a human like Elias by her side, challenges could be faced with strategy, intelligence, and integrity. She had learned to respect strength in subtle ways, and he had shown that calm, patient, and principled action could achieve what anger or arrogance never could. In the days that followed, their partnership solidified. Citizens of Veralia Station came to see Elias not just as a visitor, but as a figure of calm guidance. Advisors and nobles learned to respect his judgment, even if they did not fully understand it. And Liara, young and proud, realized that her initial offense had transformed into admiration, trust, and perhaps the beginnings of friendship. The station hummed with life, and though challenges would come again, the human and the alien princess were ready. Each had learned from the other. She had learned the power of calm intelligence, patience, and moral clarity, and he had observed leadership, strategy, and courage in action. As the stars above Veralia Station twinkled in the night sky, Liara spoke softly, almost to herself. "I misjudged you once, human. But now I understand. Respect is earned, and you have earned it." Elias, standing beside her, only smiled faintly. He had acted according to principle, walked away when words were not enough, and returned when action mattered most. And in doing so, he had earned not just respect, but a lasting partnership that could face any challenge the galaxy might present. The station was safe. The council was stabilized. The citizens were reassured. And in the quiet balance between human and alien, a lesson echoed clearly: wisdom, patience, and principle can achieve what arrogance, pride, or force alone never could. For Princess Lyara, the offense she had felt days before had transformed into admiration and understanding. For Captain Elias Ward, the calm patience he had maintained had proven its power, and together they had begun a partnership that would endure challenges, politics, and the unpredictable trials of the galaxy. The first step had been walking away. The last step had been earning trust and respect through action. And in between, both human and alien had grown, learned, and changed the way they viewed the universe and each other.